What if I told you that right now, the future of music is being fought between a pop star who literally doesn't exist and some of the biggest tech companies on the planet? It sounds like sci-fi, but that is exactly what is happening in 2025. We've got AI-generated music cranking out chart-topping hits, landing these massive record deals. But at the same time, the giants behind the tech, your Googles, your OpenAIs, they're slamming on the brakes. So we're going to get into this. We're going to unpack this really weird paradox, how the AI music revolution is speeding up and slowing down all at once.
All right, so to really get the speeding up part of this story, you've got to meet Xania Monet. Picture this. She's this new R&B artist, right? Soulful voice, huge following online. Her song, How I Supposed to Know, is just climbing up the Billboard charts. People are loving it, talking about its raw emotion, the super slick production, and then, here's the kicker. Xania Monet, she's not a real person, not human at all. She is a completely virtual artist, a digital creation with music made entirely by AI.
And look, this isn't just some gimmick or a cute little novelty act. No way. Xania Monet, who, by the way, was created by a poet named Talisha Jones, using a bunch of AI tools, just landed a record deal. And that deal, it's worth up to $3 million. I mean, that's a number that sends a serious shockwave through the entire music industry. It was like, boom, here's the proof. An AI creation with a human guiding it can absolutely hit the big time commercially, right there next to human artists.
Okay, so how did this even happen? What's the tech that made someone like Xania Monet even possible? Well, it all comes down to a giant leap, a quantum leap, really, in how good AI music has gotten. Let's just look at what's changed.
I mean, the difference is it's night and day. Seriously. Just a couple of years back, AI music sounded, well, robotic. It was noisy, chaotic, kind of like that jumbled mess you see on the left. But today's models are putting out professional, super high fidelity audio. It's rich, it's detailed, it has nuance. Just look at how clean and structured that spectrogram on the right is. We've literally gone from digital noise to digital art.
And what these things can do now it's just staggering. We're talking about AI that can compose with emotional intelligence, like it can actually match the mood of a movie scene almost perfectly. It's generating professional-grade 48 kilohertz stereo audio that's ready to go for anything. And get this, for human artists, these tools are game changers. They're cutting down studio production time by 60%. 60%! This isn't some tiny little tech experiment anymore, folks. It is a $2.5 billion global market. It's here.
Which, of course, brings us right back to that big question, that paradox we started with. If the tech is this good, and there's clearly a huge market for it, why on earth are the biggest names in the game, Google, OpenAI, holding back? You'd think they'd be rushing to release their own tools, right? But they're not. They're being super, super cautious. So, what gives?
Well, the reason for this big slowdown, let's call it the Great Deceleration, it really boils down to a few absolutely massive roadblocks. And for a company like Google, we're not talking about small speed bumps here. With their armies of lawyers and a global brand to protect, these risks are, well, they're existential. They're the kind of thing you have to solve before you even think about going all in.
So let's break these risks down. First up, you've got the legal side of things, which is basically a minefield. See, most of these AI models were trained on just tons and tons of music they scraped from the internet without asking for permission. That's a ticking time bomb of copyright lawsuits that could literally end a company. Then there's the tech cost. It takes a crazy amount of computing power to generate this high-quality audio, which means the math just doesn't work for a cheap or free service once you try to scale it up. And finally, you've got the people, the societal pushback. That's a massive risk to your brand.
And this chart, it shows you that resistance perfectly. Check it out. A recent study found that a huge chunk of musicians, 87%, are totally cool with using AI as a tool. For stuff like mixing or mastering their tracks. But when it comes to using AI to generate whole songs from scratch, only 6%, just a tiny fraction. And why is that? Well, there's this very real fear that these tools are going to devalue what it means to be a creator, to make music. They see AI as a helpful co-pilot, for sure, but they absolutely do not want it flying the plane.
But right when it looked like these problems were just too big to solve, a solution started to appear. And it came from a pretty unexpected place, a high-stakes legal fight. Out of that conflict, a new blueprint started to form, a blueprint for a future where AI music could actually be pro-artist.
And here it is. This is that groundbreaking deal between Warner Music Group and the AI platform Suno. Let's walk through it. First, they decided to stop fighting in court and actually work together. Simple, but huge.
Second, this lets Suno legally train its AI on Warner's entire, massive catalog of high-quality music. But, and this is so important, it gives artists an opt-in. They get to choose. They're in control. And finally, it sets up a way to share the money, so the original artists and songwriters actually get paid fairly.
And Warner Music CEO Robert Keinkel, he just nailed it with this quote. He basically said AI becomes pro-artist when you play by the rules. Use licensed music and give artists an opt-in. It's not about banning the tech. It's about building a system around it that's based on consent and, paying people for their work. With this one deal, they basically cleared the two biggest hurdles, the legal and the ethical ones, and drew a map for everyone else to follow.
So what does this all mean for the future of music? Well, it's pretty simple. This blueprint lays out a whole new operating model, a clear, ethical, and sustainable way forward. Basically, it's the new rulebook.
And here are those rules. The bottom line is this. The Wild West days of just grabbing any music you want to train your AI, they're over. Done. From now on, you have to use licensed data. That's mandatory. Artist consent isn't just a nice idea, it's paramount. And we're going to see things like digital watermarking become standard so everyone knows where the music came from. The big takeaway is that the goal has officially shifted from replacing artists to collaborating with them. And this is the stable, legal framework that companies like Google and OpenAI have been waiting for.
So here we are, full circle. We started with Zanya Monet, who showed us the incredible things that can happen when a human creator gets their hands on these powerful AI tools. And now, this new industry blueprint is paving the way for that to happen over and over again, but ethically and at a massive scale. The tech is here. The rulebook is finally being written. The next chart topper, the next big thing in music, could literally be born from a single text prompt. So the only real question left is for you, for all of us. Are we ready to listen?